moving this Friday, the 17th of January 2014. We're glad you're watching Morning Express. Robert Alai with me in studio, blogger extraordinaire that Smita has fights with, but we're glad you could make it this Friday as well, Robert, to review stories that have been dominating social media, especially Twitter, the trends we saw this past week. And no better place, I think, to start than with Lupita. We've talked a lot about her because as well she's covered in all the dailies today, in Nairobi and in the Pulse as well. But on social media, she was also a hit.
Yeah, she was a hit, and if you remember, one of the reasons why she came on top also because of the Golden Globes.
Yes.
You know, the awards, and also the kind of clothes she was wearing. And the funny thing is that all of us call it, the men call it clothes.
Yes.
It's not, you know, the women are treated
not
too
a
much
gown,
fashion.
all that.
I don't know the difference between a gown and
and here's one of those some of the tweets you continue seeing on your screen. Lona Irungu, their nomination still reeling. I was screaming how phenomenal. Well, and more of those, yes, but it was.
But like the Lona one is about the Oscars, which happened yesterday. Which happened yesterday. But you know, most of the social media users were wondering why is it that she was wearing, you know, the foreign brands, you know, the Ralph Lauren. The big discussion was about that.
Have you seen this picture?
Yes, Sonko entered the picture.
Can we go back to the Sonko picture? We're moving quite fast. Let's go back to that. It will be interesting to see. But yes, you're saying it is not. You know,
the kind. This is the time. You know, this is the time that she's being identified.
Yeah.
Is it not good that she also be identified with a Kenyan? You know, that the Kikoremoyos, the Rialtos, you know, the L Design, the Kenyan designers. Yeah. Where they, you know, she can also try to uplift the Kenyan designers to the international stage now, because everybody's now focusing on that.
But you know, also on such kind of a discussion, what you know, should argue, those, you know, supporting the fact that what she wore is that what happens with this kind of awards, you have so many people coming your way with proposals, and they're doing all these things. Do we have our artists here? Do we have our designers, you know, going out of their way, making that pitch? Or are they just sitting and hoping, hey, she's gonna come for us? Because she's busy. She's not gonna come and say, oh, dress me. It is us to, you know, those designers locally to fight it out as well and say, this is what I have.
You can blame the designers for not being aggressive enough, but you can also say that she can decide on what she wants to wear and say that I want to come with that African, you know, like the short hair. It's very brave for her even to go on stage, on the Hollywood stage with the short, and to be so dark skinned. You even saw yesterday Vanity Fair was blamed for trying to lighten her skin. Yes, and it was a big hit. The Huffington Post, the New Yorker, everybody was complaining that why is she being lightened, why is she being made to look so white, you know. So she can decide on what she wants.
What do you make of that picture?
Sonko entering the senior song is but I think that's just Kenyans with them memes. You know, the memes Kenyans trying to create and say that now Lupita is here, Sonko is on the stage. You remember it came first time when Sonko photoshopped himself next to Mandela. Yes, when Mandela died, and said that, oh, I've also met Mandela before, which he never did. He never met Mandela before, but there he was, and he was very brave, and he was saying that that's him and Mandela. And you know, it was a photo from Mandela meeting Muhammad Ali. Wow. The great boxer. So
he just had to be in there. But one of the things you said you've been able to notice and pick out from the Lupita conversation and her recent major success is first on what she's been wearing, but also applause, admiration for the fact that she's maintained. Because I mean, I was talking to Smith and I was saying she would have bleached herself. She hasn't. She would be wearing wigs like very many of us. She doesn't, or weaves. But she's maintained that, and really the fact that she's gotten there, it's hard work.
It's very hard work. Very much hard work, especially where she comes from, and you know, the roots, the Africanness, you know, the black, pitch black, you know, and you know, and that's why most of the African Americans were the first to make a lot of noise about this. Why is she being lightened? About the Vanity Fair, you know, photo shoot. It was a bit weird, but you know, she's breaking boundaries. But the good thing is that can she hold one Kenyan hand? She might not get the money from the Kenyan, you know, the kind of attention, you know, but at least she can hold the hands of the Kenyan and run off with them to at least to create an impact out there, and also say that I uplifted this from nowhere to somewhere.
Okay. And does it amaze you that every time when there's a trending topic, the memes that you get to see, it's amazing how fast Kenyans work and think. They're so creative. They'll come up with all manner of pictures, people doing all manner of things, even with Shebeshu, we'll talk about in a short while. But doesn't that amaze you?
Yeah, Kenyans are very, and you know, the kind of young minds we are trying to, the young minds we have around, you know, the innovativeness, you know, I like to mention a few, like the Droid 254s, the Watebas, you know, when something happens in the country, no matter what it is, you'll always see first they come out with a very crazy memes, and it's all going to trend the whole day.
It does. Who does this? Do you know any person who comes up with this? Because it's a very creative.
Yeah, they are on Twitter. The Droid 254s, the Tebas, you know, they're there.
They're there.
Yeah, so they're just waiting for you to do something crazy. Then they create a conversation out of that, out of pictures, because you know pictures are worth a lot of words.
Yes, they are, and they get to a lot of attention. People will laugh about it, and it gets people to talk more as well.
Even sad things might become so funny that you even don't want to be angry with them. You know, sometimes when it's a very serious issue, and you know you want to be so serious, then you just say, "What is this now they are creating?" You know.
Yes. Another story, Shebesh, from early on in the week, we saw trending. And also that came with its own memes on the slaps and all manner of things.
What the chick is worth? You know
what the chick is worth?
You know, Shebesh chick. Some of them put the price tag on it, like 100,000, 1 billion Kenya shillings. You know, it was the memes you saw from that one out of this world. But you know, it came from the blog post. You know, she wanted so much money to be paid so that she can drop the case against you know, Kidera, and also Kidera was coming out.
Yeah, and there's one of those. Kidera was here.
So it's very funny, you know, sometimes watching what Kenyans online are doing. Kenyans on social media, is Facebook and Twitter, the craziest Kenyans you'll ever get.
But as I was reading the tweets and the trending hashtag Shebesh, one of the things that also came out was that some were furious by the fact that the court, Justice Lenaola, had proposed that they go reach an outside of court deal.
Yes.
They felt that was overstepping. It was a criminal case. Why should he be telling them to reach an out of court deal? Second is that she's a woman, the woman representative in Nairobi. This is the governor. We have very many cases of violence, and so people will look at this and how it is addressed, you know, as a reflection of how then everybody else will use that as the guideline or as what is okay. And so in saying that it's okay for them to strike a backroom deal or, you know, go and make some agree on something instead of justice being served, that was criticized a lot by quite some of the users on social media.
Yeah, I support the argument to an extent, because you know these are two leaders. You might say that you want them to be punished, but you remember that the courts are arbitrators. They are independent. What they want is that the two parties to agree. So you know you have a complainant and the defendant. So the complainant and the if they agree outside the courts, you don't have any say on that, because it's one complainant. You know, and the funny thing is that I'm not a great fan of Kidero, by the way. I think he's overrated, but you know, still these are our leaders.
Why do you think he's overrated?
I think he's very much overrated. You know, a governor is like a mayor of people are equating him to almost being the third from the presidency, which is, it's very funny. I know that Nairobi is big, it's almost 60% of the national economy, but still, you know, he's the governor. And I think that all of them have to agree on how they are going to be leaders of this county. Because the moment they try to fight this way, who is suffering? The people of Nairobi. You know, now you can't, the garbage collections, you know, we can't address them well because the women issues now. What if now there's a female issue which Shebesh is supposed to rate with a very strong enemy? What do you do in that situation?
And there's just one of those you know, cartoons, memes that will, this is a cartoon that we saw, and reconcile or face, literally face.
And that was very good from Judge Lenaola. You either reconcile or you face prosecution of all of you, or you know, the person, it depends on the DPP also to give the go ahead for prosecution. But many would argue that should not even have been there in the first place, Alai, because people, it's not your normal, you didn't refuse to pay me back my 10,000 shillings. So let's go, if you pay me back, let's shake hands and agree and move on. Slapping, alleged slapping,
in public, in cameras capturing that moment.
The cameras didn't capture slap.
The sound.
Just a sound. So where was the sound? What we saw was just the movement of hearts, the sound. We heard the sound. People pushing. In fact, I think Shebesh was molested more by her bodyguards than anybody else. If you check on that picture, she was being groped, she was being pushed. The bodyguards did the worst things to her from that video than you could say Kidero did. But the thing is, Kidero also should, if you do that to a lady, in public, it's very hard to argue that case, because you talk to investigators. Sometimes you call the investigator and they tell you that from the investigative point, we didn't see a slap. We saw a movement of hands. And these people are rich. They can do anything in the case. So
and that is why even immediately after that happened, the first thing, when he spoke, he said he doesn't remember any such thing.
Yes.
No slap, Yes. And that, of course, advice from counsel that.
And it was very funny yesterday when I think I read a story where I think Kidero was like saying that it's very unfortunate it happened, which is like admitting that it happened. Yes. So from the newspaper story, it was he was saying that it's very unfortunate. So it was like him admitting, and if he is admitting, then he did it. He should face prosecution straight away, I think.
Yes. Let's go to another one. Are you a football fan?
Yeah, to an extent.
Which team do you support?
Arsenal, all the Gunners, yes.
So you're the people who are celebrating when top of the league was trending as well.
Yes. Yeah? And don't put the Ruto on top of the table. Kenyans are very creative. So they say that this is not the Arsenal we are celebrating. The one on top, standing on top of the table at a political rally. No, it's celebrating the great team, the Gunners on top of the league. Yes.
But on top of the league now, are you still on top? Is Arsenal still on top?
Yes, we are still on top. Yes.
But of course, still quite a way to go before.
Yes. They say that if Arsenal finish January and February still on top of the league, then we might be safe. But always they lose the top spots in January and February. Yes.
But of course, this being related a lot to the change in management.
Yes.
In Manchester, I'm a Man U chick.
Which
I just said that. I'm waiting for tweets throwing stones. No, I'm not really into football, but hey, if I was to support a team today, I would support Man U. I think they're cool. Yes, but top of the league was a lot of celebration.
Cool, these guys are goons.
So the goons.
We are the gooners, but we are not goons. Like Man U. Man U's are crazy people.
How?
They throw a lot of stones.
Really?
That they're Gorma here of international football.
Man U?
Yes.
Not Arsenal?
No, not Arsenal.
Why is
Arsenal, it's like the gentleman of the soccer.
God fans support Arsenal. Majority.
I think just an assumption. I don't think that God fans support Arsenal. God fans, I've met most of the God fans who are very strong Man U supporters.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. But I think that's Man U, the God of international football.
Yeah.
The crazy fans. I watched a BBC documentary where one BBC journalist lived with some Man U fans for a whole year without them realizing that he's a journalist. He was doing a documentary on football hooliganism, and you see they could help us the international restriction on their travel because they have been identified as goons. So it was a bit crazy watching. They carry the knives. They walk with them everywhere, and they start a fight without provocation.
Yeah, but with that as well, it would be argued that's of course on the extreme end, and that could happen with any other team. Hooliganism
is not. There are not very many. The hooligans are not like in Gore. You'll find that
it's 10
people, 10 people in the whole fan base are the key troublemakers. If you can contain the 10, there'll be no trouble in the sport because they start and the idea is not behind football.
Right.
They have an issue they want to fight for. It's either tribal or politics or religion. So they hide behind the team to avoid their issues. And so it's very hard.
Let's move away from football to movies. I know you have some interesting trends as well. We'll talk about. The Wolf of Wall Street.
I watched the 3 movies yesterday.
You watched it?
Marathon, yeah. The movie 43. It was banned also. It is the craziest movie you'll ever see. There's a lot of. It's very explicit. In fact, now I can agree with the Kenya Film Classification Board for banning the movie. That movie, it has gay orgies, it has explicit explicit, you know, content. It has lots of alcohol, drugs, cocaine, what. The one which I find very funny for them, because I watched the long version. You know, yes. Dubai has edited theirs to be like 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's been the bad scenes have been removed for the Wolf of Wall Street. It's very funny that the Kenyan Classification Board, you know, the Film Classification Board banned the movie because it's clean. According to me, I watched the 3-hour version, which is very long. 3 hours watching a movie is very long. The movie 43, the Wolf of Wall Street, then This Is the End. Another movie, you know, the bludgeoning of people to death, you know, the bludgeoning of people to death, the killings in the movie. Right. The 2 movies, I agree with the ban, but the one which I find funny, the Wolf of Wall Street, it had even an Oscar nomination. Right. You know, the funny thing, the Wolf of Wall Street had an Oscar nomination yesterday. Okay. Yes. And
interesting. Yeah. And you know, when I saw, you know, the fact that the Kenya Film Classification Board had banned it, most people now want to watch.
Yes, everybody want to watch, and people are torrenting it yesterday. Yes. You know, the funny thing is that, you know, the classification board, when I talked to the people behind the ban of the movie, the KFCB. The KFCB says that they talk to the distributors, which is Fox distributors, the local distributor for the movie. The movie, I think, was in a wrong way. Was banned for the wrong reasons. Yeah. Yes. But still, I think it can be reviewed. I think if a lot of, you know, if people can appeal for it to be reviewed, to be allowed to be watched. Yeah. But most of Kenyans don't buy the original movies. No, so how will you control this? You know, the 50 bob and the 30 bob movies are the trend now.
50 bob, you go to the movie guys, like, which movie would you recommend? And they're like, the Wolf of Wall Street.
And they'll deliver it home for free.
Yes. So I thought that, you know, the banning, that's the fastest way. And even somebody tweeted, it's the fastest way to get people to watch it, because you all were like, why? The curiosity, why they're banning it. So just one of those things that will drive people to watch. But also this classification board, have you heard about it before? That's
it was formerly under the Ministry of Information. You know, it was separated from the Kenya Film Commission. You know, it was a whole one department. Okay. So it was a parastatal created out of that, I think. It's done some of the previous works. You know, but you know, you remember when I called the lady who was dealing with the communication about the qualification, it's called Redemptor, and I called Redemptor and asked her why it was banned. You know, they said that they have a panel, and the panel is composed of a teacher, businessman, and somebody from the communication background. You know, 3 people. So they sat 2 panels, sat through and watched the movies, and decided that they're not going to be allowed to be, you know. But the funniest one, the Wolf of Wall Street, is very clean, according to, and you know, even the rating. If you check the rating on the IMDb, you know, the movie database, it has almost 9 out of 10 rating. The movie is, you know, I expected to see the orgies, you know, the bad expressions, languages. Watching the This Is the End, and the movie 43 also banned. The 3 of them have been banned in Kenya.
So there are 3 of them. Explain to us. So there are 3 versions of this movie, or what? When you talk about 3, what are you talking about?
There are 3 movies which have been banned by the Kenya Film Classification Board. Okay. The first movie is movie 43. The second movie is This Is the End. The third movie is The Wolf of Wall Street. There are 3 movies. Yes. So the movie 43 and This Is the End, I think they should be banned.
They're bad.
Yes, you know, the bludgeoning. Somebody being bludgeoned. There's no editing. It's bludgeoned the head with an hammer. Death. You know, the sex of the gay orgies. You know, it's all crazy. The drugs. You know.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, very crazy.
Wow.
Extreme, very extreme. Okay. But the Wolf of Wall Street is very clean.
It's clean.
Very clean.
Wouldn't you all just want to watch that? Yes. Anyway, another interesting one which you mentioned to me, African nations. African nations were high schools.
Yes.
And I'm just looking at you know, some of those interesting tweets that people were talking about, and somebody was talking about Kenya. If Kenya, you know, African nation, Kenya, talking about having a big brother or the headmaster. Yes. You know, the United States, because of Obama having his roots here in Kenya. So we're gonna try to put up some of those tweets for you that we found. But very interesting, and how Kenyans think and how this became even a trend. Kenya is that kid who ran all the way to school only to realize that he's gone to the wrong school. And talking of running, speaking of running, there's our athletes there.
Yes, and I see even Joy Doreen Bira, your colleague, was talking about the democracy. The Uganda, the kid that always fails exams.
Yes.
Democracy, when his age mates are fighting, is called to calm them down.
Yes.
He failed him, yes.
Yeah, and Brian K on screen, we're talking about Mauritania would be that kid whose name even the teacher can't remember.
Yeah, and then Nigeria is that old, student still going to school with the people young enough to be their kid,
Yes.
Yes.
And Uganda is that kid with a funny accent that other kids laughed at when he was reading an English passage. There's also an interesting one here. Zambia would be the chick who tries so hard to get noticed, but no one still notices.
Yes, Banda.
Oh gosh, and the one on screen again, Sudan always copied notes, but
exams. And they always fail. So they always fail.
That's this kind of thing. Someone just sit and then how does it even get to catch on?
Like the ones from the African nations in high school.
Yeah.
It's like somebody just start and say, what if they were in high school? What if they were students?
Yeah.
How would you say Kenya is? Kenya is a student who only comes during the athletics.
Yeah.
Yes, and wins the races. Is not good in class.
Yes.
So it's very funny. So people have become creative, and this one was very interesting because it was a cross-board.
Exactly.
This also comes with the class of social media users. You find some trends which others, like the people, the intellectuals, the professors will not get in. But this one you find everybody there.
This one, everyone can relate.
Professor Jumai, Calestos was there.
Yeah, what is he saying?
Yeah, Calestos Jumai was saying that is when African leaders go back to school, like Nam Nujoma did. Sam Nujoma, I think maybe meant. And you get everybody there. Joy Doreen Bia, you get Peter, even the NTV Uganda.
Yeah.
But Madagascar is the kid that takes about to and from school. Interesting.
And we have Fakilwale. South Africa is that kid who is ashamed of being in that school, but can't do anything about it.
And Al Jazeera picked it up, I think, and they did the show on their Al Jazeera stream. Yeah.
About the same.
Yes. And it was all across the continent. Everybody was talking about it, and it went even international.
As well. Zimbabwe is a pretty girl, but everyone keeps their distance because her daddy is crazy.
Yeah, so
it's interesting that this and what you mentioned, that it's about how also people can relate.
Yes.
What will make it popular, what will get it to in fact trend, is that I, as Sophia, when I'm seated and watching and reading, I'm like, so funny, and I can find some relevance to it and make my contribution as well. But this goes just to show the involvement, how everybody just wants to have something to talk about on a lighter note in a world that, social media offers that craziness, madness. When you see those memes, when you see those interesting trends, it's one of those good escapes, wouldn't you say?
Yes, it's very, very much good escape from the I'm just reading the tweets. Everybody's crazy about what we are saying here.
So really, someone is tweeting. What are they saying?
Gadara, the great, Gadara ICU. About the assault case. They say this is a criminal offense. I agree that it's a criminal offense. And the criminal offense, what happens, the assault case between Shebesh and Kidero, what happens is that the state is the complainant.
Right.
And the complainant in this case, maybe Shebesh or Kidero, is just a witness of the state. But still, the state would not have a case without the key witness. And if he agrees to settle out of court, there's nothing you can do. And you can, if you want to take them to court, if you want to force them to go to court and solve it through the justice system, you may just take your own civil suit to them. I think it's very hard to force them to go through the court if they don't want to go to if they want to agree, let them agree. The problem is that this case has many brokers and has many interests, has
many parties.
I was even wondering why Quad wanted to enter the case, even Nairobi County. This is between two individuals. Yes. So.
And the 100 million discussion also, I saw that on Twitter, people just talking about the allegation, the claims that Shebesh had asked for 100 million in order to, say...
It's very hard to prove that, yes, and it's very hard to prove that she really demanded that. Kidero came out yesterday and said that he's not going to pay her even a cent. It's still hard to argue that, to say, it's like accusing Shebesh now because she has accused Kidero, then you now accuse her of extortion. I don't think that you can accuse her without any money. And these things are very hard to prove. Like if she sent emissaries to demand the money, it's very hard to prove also. So you cannot accuse her of extortion without seeing any hard evidence about it.
Okay. What other trends did you see? Did you find interesting in the past week? I know you had some. What for you stood out as well?
Yeah, the ones which stood out, the Ronaldo, the size 18, the
what was that about, size 18?
The kicks, I think perhaps when Smita went.
Yeah.
So Smita came up with that pictures. Do you know the key pictures on pass last week?
Yes,
on Friday?
I saw that.
Yes, the kicks, the Macheke song, and she was performing, and the photographer, took successive photographs of her performing the Mateke, and it became a trending. Now people came up with
Let me try to find that. So it was the trend was
size 18. So size 18, size 18.
So what is it that people had issue with? Or is it just the fact that those pictures and when they were taken?
Yeah, the success. So people are trying to create memes. The pictures, the crazy photos from it. Size 8 kicking. Performing a Van Damme, the stretch over. Some of them you could see, you could see. Yes, kicking.
Yeah, I've seen that on your iPad. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy.
Yeah, even the fiber guy, she's keeping.
Yeah, because that was the picture actually on Pulse. I remember seeing that last week.
Yeah, so if you saw the pictures,
Mateke. So Mateke got to trend. Not bad for her music.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting thing, that with these trends, it could be just from somebody seated somewhere starting a trend off of just something they've thought about and it catches on.
Yes.
Or it could be something like this that
people discussing news.
Yeah.
Yes.
People discussing news stories that are in the news.
Yes.
Also, it could be this, which could then end up, the ripple effect would be you want to watch her music, you want to see this Mateke thing and get to hear more about it.
Yes. And then the Ballon d'Or, because Churchill, like me, could not pronounce the d'Or.
Yeah.
Dior, what is the Ballon d'Or?
All about.
Yes.
So do you think people who are unable to pronounce that?
Yes.
I saw you yesterday tweet about a link with Twitter, one of their apps. I think it's an app to get people to understand or know their stats. How does that work? Statistics.
When your conversation, your engagement on Twitter, how do you get to measure them? You should be able to measure. If I would not be on Twitter if I'm not getting enough engagement. So you find that I'm able to know weekly how many people I reach, how the impressions I create, from the tweets, which were the most popular tweets, so you actually get to know what your followers like. Yeah, so sometimes you can be crazy with me and be angry with me and say that, we don't want you to say that, but I'm feeding my followers. If Nairobians is for a market, I'm a media house, I'm for a different market, maybe my market is not where you should be, so you should just try to keep off. But that's what it is. You should measure your engagement, and everybody, individuals and corporates. So is it important, you'd say, to gauge that engagement? You can use tools like Spot Social. There's tools like Tweetbinder. Even Twitter has its own analytics.twitter.com. You get to know what tweets had many impressions, which links were clicked most. You get to know what kind of reactions, because sometimes when you have so many followers, sometimes I don't even read my timeline. I read my mentions only, because my mentions are more than 1,000 in a day. So you when you go online, you want to see what people are saying. Maybe somebody's reporting something very serious which you should follow up, so you get to read your own mentions only, and you might not see the replies, the very many engagement you got from the retweets. You might not be able to see that. Yes.
And when you talk about, even for you, your mentions, you get very many mentions a day. I remember seeing somebody, and I've seen that a lot with people asking you questions from traffic due to what happened happening, and I was like, why don't you start something like Ask Alai? And somebody else was asking, why does everybody ask Alai all manner of things? Like,
I think we missed last week.
He knows everything.
We missed last week. We should have started something like Got Issues. You know, Makaigwa was here last week.
Right.
Started a platform called Got Issues, where you could, you could say, you could speak about what you experience in customer care, means the companies, the phone companies, the Kenya Power, what. So you could post your issues there, and they get to follow it up. Yeah, so Got Issues like was more like it, because some people sometimes like the issue of the Nyeri kid who dropped from the bed to down and died. You remember that?
Yes, I mean that was
watched
very
on
sad,
TV.
yeah.
Then yesterday JKIA also had an explosion. The police say it was a bulb in a dustbin, and the place was cordoned off. There were rumors that it was a terror attack. It was not a terror attack. It was just a bulb dropping from and exploding. So issues like that, people get to respond to report to you issues before even they say it, because the media houses, you cannot blame them. These are corporate, and they have channels of communication which sometimes might be very hard to manage, and a lot of bureaucracy along the way. So I think the best is that they get to use individuals like us. Yes, we don't have to compete with the media houses, because we can only complement what you do. We cannot replace what the media houses do.
I think that's good, like such a trend, Got Issues, because at the end of the day, you will find there will be issues in some places. And as far as customer service is concerned, I remember, we will not talk about perhaps the entity, but the croissants discussion and what happened then. And it actually got people to change. It gets people to realize people are watching very carefully, listening, observing, and that the minute one person vents and gets another person to catch on, and it becomes this whole conversation, then organizations, government as well, companies, we here as media practitioners.
The government is doing great on Twitter. The problem is that we had with them was when Uhuru came to be the president, is that they engaged a lot in self-praise, which was like it congratulating. Even the Westgate Time, they were saying, oh, the police did well, it should be left for the public to do that. They should provide the information, what should we do, where the numbers to call, who should we last with. Most of the time they were engaging, but it's very happy that they are now, I'm very happy that they're now changing. They're now trying to give out the information, like it happened yesterday. JKIA, the police, the commission, the police boss, the IGP was trying to give out the information on what really happened, how the police is handling the situation, instead of saying, oh, police handle it very well, we are on top of the situation. And
do we know who tweets for the president? I mean, he is on Twitter. You see a couple of tweets there.
I watched Sakaja one time, the chairman of TNA, one time to say that the president reads most of the tweets himself. Reads most of the mentions himself personally. I know that, and for a fact, I know that even former PM Raila, he doesn't like to call this. He'd like to read, and sometimes even replies himself. And the president might be very busy than the average of us, and also considering the fact that he has I think more than 200,000 followers now.
There must be very many.
It must be close to 300,000, especially after that.
So we don't know if somebody else does the tweeting.
He can't tweet alone now. Even if he wanted to, he can't do it alone, because even the mentions, it's crazy. Everybody want to report the issues direct to the president. You don't want to go to the provincial.
Yes, 342.7 thousand.
Yes, and that's
quite a number.
That's our whole constituency, and that one with the reach is very big. So
it's big. But I like what, for example, President Obama has done, and even the First Lady USA. When they tweet, they will attach the initials. So it will be BO when it's him tweeting directly. It will be MO when it's.
I think UK should start saying UK when he tweets personally.
Even you one day you'll be so big you'll never say RA.
No, you can't tweet unless you're the president. If fucking the famous guys can still tweet alone. It might not be hard to just tweet alone, but for the president, you understand, because issues requiring his attention, you might not be. But I see him all the time, even at the airports. He's always carrying that phone. And I would love to. I would want to ask the model of that phone. Not that I want to hack into the phone, because people start getting ideas when you ask which phone the president used, but maybe just to know what the president likes.
Yeah.
Because President Kagame says that he's a BlackBerry person.
Yes, he is.
So
Okay.
you get to know what your president likes and what he likes to tweet from. Does he use an iPad, a Galaxy Tab, or something like that?
Yeah, he should join Instagram as well. Then we can see some of his fun
there's photos. I had a very nice private birthday party.
Oh.
We would love to see those photos.
Exactly.
The president
would love to
put them online.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Robert Alai, for being with us this morning. We wish you a happy weekend.
Thanks.
And I think that's one of the things we'll explore even with the next show, just to be able to have an understanding of what people are talking about with the experience with the different customer care out there.
And also the alcohol law, now that they're trying to evade the alcohol law.
And that it will also be, I heard yesterday, everywhere near these popular spots, you'll have it right outside.
And people know how to, people are tweeting. People, yes, they're using Eno to mask this. Yes. So I would love to know if it works. I've never tried it, but he was telling me that it works.
It works.
Yes.
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll watch very carefully, and we'll continue that conversation with Robert next week, Friday. Thank you.